The nurse handed him the wrong room number on a small slip of paper. That single-digit error would change everything, not just for Michael Collins, a worn-down single father of two, but for Sarah Winters, a woman with only weeks left to live. Neither could have imagined how a simple hospital mistake would weave their broken lives together into something beautiful. If you're touched by this story of unexpected connection and second chances, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt stories that remind us of the magic hiding in life's unexpected moments. Michael Collins stared at the ceiling of his apartment, listening to the gentle breathing of his children in the next room. 6-year-old Emma and 4-year-old Liam had finally fallen asleep after another difficult evening. The three of them had been stumbling through life since Angela's car accident 18 months ago, leaving Michael a widower at 34. He ran his fingers through his unkempt hair, feeling the weight of exhaustion pressing down on him. Tomorrow was Emma's follow-up appointment at Memorial Hospital. The ear infection that had kept her up for nights was finally improving, but the doctor wanted to check her progress. One more thing to juggle while trying to keep his graphic design business afloat and maintain some semblance of normalcy for his children. "We're doing okay," he whispered to the darkness, the same words he repeated like a mantra every night. Sometimes he almost believed them. The hospital bustled with its usual morning activity as Michael guided Emma through the sliding doors, Liam trailing behind clutching his worn stuffed dinosaur. The pediatric wing was on the 3rd floor, and Michael approached the reception desk with Emma's paperwork. "Collins, Emma. We have a 9:30 with Dr. Patel," he said, stifling a yawn. The receptionist, a young woman with bright purple-framed glasses, typed rapidly on her keyboard. "Yes, I see her here. Dr. Patel is running about 20 minutes behind this morning. If you could fill out these updated forms, then head to room 317 when you're done." Michael nodded, taking the clipboard and guiding his children to the waiting area. Emma sat quietly, still not her usual energetic self, while Liam immediately gravitated toward the toy corner. After completing the paperwork, Michael checked his watch. Nearly 10 o'clock. He gathered the children and the slip of paper with the room number. "Room 317, he muttered, scanning the hallway signs. "This way, guys." They walked down the corridor, past rooms with partially closed doors and the sounds of medical equipment beeping steadily. Michael squinted at the numbers: 313, 315. 317. The door was partially open. Michael knocked lightly and stepped inside, expecting to see Dr. Patel's familiar face. Instead, a woman lay in the hospital bed, her thin frame barely making an impression under the blankets. Her skin was pale, almost translucent, with dark circles under her closed eyes. Various tubes and monitors surrounded her, and for a moment, Michael thought she might be sleeping. Then her eyes opened, startlingly blue and alert despite her frail appearance. "I'm sorry," Michael stammered, immediately backing toward the door. "Wrong room." The woman's lips curved into a small smile. "Are you sure? I wasn't expecting visitors, but I'm not complaining." Her voice was surprisingly strong, with a hint of humor that seemed out of place in her clearly serious medical situation. "Daddy, who's that lady?" Emma asked, peering around his leg. Before Michael could answer, Liam had already approached the bed, holding up his dinosaur for inspection. "This is Rex," he announced solemnly. "He makes me feel better when I'm sick." The woman's face transformed with delight. "Well, hello, Rex. And what's your name, brave dinosaur owner?" "I'm Liam. I'm 4. That's Emma, she's 6. She has an ear infection. And that's my dad. He's really old." Michael felt his face flush with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry. We're supposed to be meeting Dr. Patel. Pediatrics." "Pediatrics is 1 floor up," the woman said, still smiling at Liam. "They renumbered some rooms last month, causing all sorts of confusion." "Right. Well, we should." "Daddy, look." Emma pointed to a sketchbook on the woman's side table. She draws too. The woman followed Emma's gaze. Do you like to draw? Emma nodded enthusiastically. Daddy teaches me. He makes pictures on the computer for his job. Is that right? The woman looked at Michael with new interest. Graphic designer, he explained briefly. Again, I'm sorry for the intrusion. We should get going to find the right room. Of course. Something flickered across the woman's face, disappointment, perhaps. It was nice meeting you all. Good luck with that ear infection, Emma. As Michael ushered the children toward the door, Emma suddenly broke away and ran back to the bed. What's your name? She asked. Sarah, the woman replied. Sarah Winters. Are you very sick? Emma's directness made Michael wince. Sarah hesitated, then nodded. Yes, I am. But having visitors like you makes me feel much better. We could visit again, Emma suggested, looking back at her father with pleading eyes. Michael felt caught in an impossible moment. This stranger's room was no place for his children, yet there was something in Sarah's eyes, a loneliness that resonated with his own. Maybe, he said noncommittally. We really need to go now, Emma. As they left the room, Michael couldn't shake the image of Sarah Winters, alone in that hospital bed, surrounded by machines but seemingly without anyone to care that she was there. Dr. Patel pronounced Emma's ear infection nearly healed, prescribing 1 more week of antibiotics to be safe. As they prepared to leave the hospital, Michael found himself pausing at the elevator. Wait here a second, he told the children, setting them on a nearby bench. I need to check something. Before he could overthink it, he approached the nurse's station on the 3rd floor. Excuse me, the patient in 317, Sarah Winters. Is she? I mean, would it be inappropriate if my children wanted to visit her again? We accidentally went to her room earlier. The nurse looked up, surprise evident on her face. Are you family? No, we met by mistake. The nurse's expression softened. Ms. Winters has been here for 3 weeks. No visitors that I've seen, except her doctor. She doesn't have much time left. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Michael felt a heaviness settle in his chest. I see. If you wanted to visit, I think it would be welcome. Just check with her first, of course. Michael nodded, thanking the nurse before returning to his children. As they rode the elevator down to the parking level, he found himself thinking about Sarah Winters and her empty room, her sketchbook, and the way her face had lit up when Liam showed her his dinosaur. Kids, he said as he buckled them into their car seats, how would you feel about making a new friend? The next day, Michael found himself standing outside room 317 again, this time deliberately. Emma clutched a drawing she had made, while Liam held a small potted succulent they had picked up at the grocery store. Remember, Michael reminded them, Ms. Winters is very sick, so we need to be gentle and quiet. And if she's sleeping or doesn't feel like visitors, we'll come back another time. He knocked softly on the door. Come in, called Sarah's voice. When they entered, Sarah was sitting up in bed, her sketchbook open on her lap. She looked momentarily confused, then her face brightened with recognition. The wrong room family, she said, smiling. You came back. We brought you things, Emma announced, stepping forward to present her drawing, a colorful rendition of what appeared to be Sarah in a superhero cape. That's you fighting the sick, Emma explained seriously. Daddy says you're very brave. Sarah's eyes glistened as she accepted the drawing. This is the most beautiful gift I've received in a very long time. Liam thrust forward the small plant. This is harder to kill than flowers, he stated matter-of-factly. The lady at the store said so. Sarah laughed, a genuine sound that transformed her tired face. Practical and thoughtful. Thank you, Liam. Michael stood awkwardly by the door, unsure of his place in this interaction. We don't want to tire you out. We just thought, well, the kids wanted to see you again. Just the kids? Sarah asked, her blue eyes meeting his with unexpected directness. Michael felt a flush creep up his neck. I thought you might like some company too. Sarah gestured to the chairs beside her bed. I would. Very much. They stayed for nearly an hour. The children chattered about their school and their lives, while Sarah listened with genuine interest. Michael learned that Sarah was 32, a freelance illustrator who specialized in children's books, and that she had been diagnosed 8 months ago. The doctors gave me 6 months then, she said quietly when the children were distracted by the television in the corner of the room. I've outlived their prediction, but not by much. A few weeks, maybe. I'm sorry, Michael said, the words feeling wholly inadequate. Sarah shrugged slightly. It is what it is. The hardest part isn't dying, it's leaving behind unfinished business. Like what? She glanced at her sketchbook. I was working on my own children's book. Something I've always wanted to do, but kept putting off for someday. Turns out, someday has an expiration date. Michael found himself reaching for the sketchbook. May I? Sarah hesitated, then handed it over. It's not my best work. The medications make my hands shake sometimes. Michael flipped through pages of beautiful illustrations, a story about a little girl who collected fallen stars and returned them to the sky. The artwork was whimsical and touching, though some of the later pages showed evidence of trembling lines. This is incredible, he said honestly. You're very talented. Sarah corrected. I can barely hold a pencil steady now. Something stirred in Michael, a feeling he hadn't experienced in months. Purpose. An idea. What if I helped, he suggested. I'm not an illustrator, but I know my way around design software. I could digitize your work, clean up the lines where needed. Maybe help you finish it. Sarah stared at him, confusion and hope battling across her features. Why would you do that? You don't even know me. Michael glanced at his children, who were giggling at something on the television. Because unfinished business shouldn't be left unfinished if there's any way to complete it. For the first time since they'd met, Sarah's composure cracked. A tear slid down her cheek, followed by another. I would like that, she whispered. I would like that very much. Over the next 2 weeks, Michael and the children visited Sarah almost daily. He brought his laptop and tablet, working beside her bed to digitize her illustrations while she directed him on colors and details. The children would draw alongside them or play quietly, occasionally asking Sarah questions about her book or her life. Michael learned that Sarah had grown up in foster care, bouncing between homes until she aged out of the system. She had put herself through art school, working multiple jobs to pay tuition. She had no family to speak of, and few close friends. Her work had always been her priority. I always thought there would be time later for the other stuff, she admitted one afternoon. Relationships, maybe a family someday. I was so focused on establishing my career first. Michael understood all too well how life could upend even the most careful plans. He told her about Angela, about the drunk driver who had crossed the center line on a rainy night, about the phone call that had shattered his world. How do you do it? Sarah asked. Keep going, I mean. Take care of the kids, run your business, function like a normal human being? Michael considered the question. 1 day at a time. Some days, 1 hour at a time. I don't always do it well. But they need me, so I keep trying. Sarah's condition deteriorated noticeably as the days passed. Her pain medications were increased, leaving her groggy and confused at times. But whenever Michael and the children arrived, she would rally, finding reserves of energy that surprised even her doctors. You're good for her, Dr. Reynolds told Michael one day in the hallway. I don't know how you connected with my patient, but whatever you're doing, it's helping her quality of life. Michael didn't know how to explain that Sarah was helping them too. For the first time since losing Angela, he felt a sense of forward momentum. The children were smiling more, talking about Sarah at home, including her in their prayers at night. One evening, after the children had fallen asleep, Michael stayed late at the hospital, determined to finish the digital rendering of Sarah's final illustration. She dozed beside him, waking occasionally to murmur suggestions or approval. "It's done," he said finally, turning the screen toward her. "What do you think?" Sarah studied the completed artwork, her eyes filling with tears. "It's better than I imagined." "Thank you, Michael. I'll contact some publishers tomorrow," he promised. "With your permission, of course." Sarah shook her head slightly. "There's no time for that. But knowing it's finished, that's enough." Michael reached for her hand, alarmed at how cold and fragile it felt in his. "Don't talk like that. There's still time." Sarah's smile was gentle. "Not much. But that's okay. I've made peace with it." She squeezed his hand weakly. "What I haven't made peace with is what happens to all of this when I'm gone. My work, my book. I have no one to leave it to." Michael swallowed hard. "You could leave it to us. The kids and me. We'd make sure it found its way into the world." Sarah's eyes searched his face. "Why are you doing all this, Michael? Really?" He considered deflecting, making a joke, but the intensity of her gaze demanded honesty. "Because when I walked into your room by mistake that day, something happened. I can't explain it, but it felt like finding something I didn't know I was looking for." Sarah's eyes softened. "I felt it too. Like the universe made a clerical error in our favor." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, hands still joined, until Sarah drifted back to sleep. Michael gently disengaged his hand, saved his work, and prepared to leave. At the door, he looked back at her sleeping form, struck by how quickly she had become important to him, to all of them. The call came at 3:17 a.m., jolting Michael from a restless sleep. Sarah had taken a turn for the worse. The doctor didn't think she would make it through the night. Michael called his neighbor, Mrs. Patel, who arrived within minutes to stay with the sleeping children. He drove to the hospital with his heart pounding, praying he wouldn't be too late. Sarah was conscious when he arrived, though barely. Her breathing was labored, her skin ashen. "You came," she whispered as he took her hand. "Of course I came." Michael fought back tears. "The kids will be devastated they couldn't say goodbye." Sarah's lips curved in a faint smile. "They already did, in their way. Children understand more than we give them credit for." She paused, gathering strength. "There's something I need to ask you." "Anything." "My book. I want you to publish it. Under both our names." Michael nodded, throat tight. "I promise." "And?" Sarah hesitated. "I've been thinking. About what happens after. To my things, my apartment, my work." "Don't worry about that now," Michael soothed. "I have to." Her voice grew urgent. "I've spoken to my lawyer. I'm leaving everything to you and the children. It's not much, but there's some money from my parents' insurance, my artwork, my apartment." Michael stared at her in shock. "Sarah, no. That's too much. We barely know each other." "Time is a poor measure of connection," she replied. "Some people can be in your life for years and remain strangers. Others." She squeezed his hand. "I've known you 3 weeks, Michael Collins, but you've given me more family feeling than I've had in my entire life." Michael couldn't hold back his tears any longer. "We'll miss you so much." "I know," Sarah whispered. "But I need you to promise me something else." "What?" "Don't let this be just a sad story. Make it something more." Michael didn't understand, but he nodded anyway. "I promise." Sarah seemed satisfied. She closed her eyes, her breathing becoming more shallow. Michael sat beside her, holding her hand, talking softly about the children, about her book, about anything he could think of to keep her company on her final journey. Just before